Welcome back. Here we have Ultima 5, Episode 1. So, just to have a little recap, in Ultima 1, we defeated Mundane, the evil wizard that overthrew the world, sort of. And then we have Minax in Ultima 2, which we overthrow, and she wanted to get revenge on the person who defeated Mundane, and she had a very powerful ability to transcend space and time. Then, as a result of those two, Minax and Mundane, there was a child, Exodus, and he was the villain in Ultima 3. In each of the Ultimas, the world were vastly modified and different to each other. Ultima 2 took place on Earth as well as other eras. But those three villains place the Ultima Avatar series to where it is, I believe. We could say that Mundane was lies, and the antithesis for that is truth. Minax was hatred, and that would be love, the antithesis for. And then Exodus, I assume the antithesis is courage, so we essentially get the premise for truth, love, and courage. The reason why I say this is because in each of the 3 episodes they had magic power beyond typical persons, which I believe when they were destroyed created the chance for the magic to reconstrue themselves, as it were, into the 3 principles as we know it. Now, in Ultima 4, we became the Avatar. We learnt of the 3 principles, then we learnt where the virtues came from the 3 principles, mastered the 8 virtues and the 3 principles, and read from the Codex of Wisdom, which was on the isle where the Great Stygian Abyss was. As I click over here, as you can see, we've got the 3 principles and the stones for each one. The stones are sort of indicative of where the locations of the shrines, so to speak. At least they're directly associated to a shrine. As you can see here, you've got the link between them all. Virtue of honesty is the primary principle, is truth. And you've got the mantra, blue stone, associated to the city of Moonglow, and the antithesis dungeon is Dungeon Deceit, which is on Dagger Isle. As you can see, I'll put the rough locations of each of those dungeons. The only one that isn't associated with any principles or any dungeon is Humility, but it is associated to a city called Magentia, which was destroyed in Ultima 4. The antithesis for the mantras is essentially just the reverse. So when we were in Magentia, we learned that the mantra for humility was Mul, but that was incorrect because Magentia was taken over by the antithesis of humility. And of course, spirituality is a combination of all of them. I don't think there's much else about that. Just let you guys peruse all that. But all this information is still valid from Ultima 4 onwards, except for Ultima 8, which doesn't take place in Sosaria, which is where Lord British's lands are. It's the old archaic name for the planet, as it were. Okay, as we get stuck into it, we'll have a look at the Ultima 5 introduction first. I'll just scale it up a bit for my own sake. Okay. Just trying to get it placed a bit better so I can read it. But my mouse is in a tantrum. Okay, the summoning from nowhere, smoky wisps of cloud begin to form in the clear moonlit sky. In a few short moments, the sky is filled with dark, ominous clouds that completely block the moon's pale light. Your bedroom is bathed in quiet darkness as you lie sleeping lightly. Something arouses you, and your eyes open sleepily to be met by a soft blue glow reflecting from the wall. Slowly, you turn your head until you can see the source of the light. You take a quick breath as you see that the light is emanating from a shimmering circle suspended on your bed, over your bed. As you look at the night, a darkening begins to occur in its center. The darkness gradually materializes into a form you suddenly recognize as the symbol of the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom, which is a combination of all the virtues and all the principles, as well as the axiom, which is infinity. The last time you saw such as this was beyond the circle of stones in the nearby woods. The prior occasion marked the quest that forever changed the course of your life. In each of the Ultima games, you actually came from another planet in space-time. In this case, it was Earth. I wouldn't say it was a middle-aged Earth. It was probably more a 1980s, 1990s modern Earth. And you were brought over to the lands of Lord British, as it's now pretty much known as. The old archaic name is Sosaria. Or Sosora. You stare as the light begins to diminish and finally wink out. Something falls softly onto the bed. Reaching out, you turn on the light at your bedside. There, lying before you, is an amulet. You hesitantly reach for it, gripping it tightly in your hand. Your finger automatically tracing over the filament etchings on its surface. Finally, a sign from Britannia. It has to be done. There could be nothing else. This is basically our call. But also at the end of Ultima 4, we got an Unk from the said codex. And I really do apologize for the way it's displaying on the screen for you guys in the video. That looks horrendous. There we go. Sorry about that. Let me just see if I can change a few. Maybe change it to direct draw, maybe. Come on. Oh no, that's right. That's the reason why we had it on direct 3D. Nope. Okay. Maybe it was the aspect ratio correction. Oh well, we'll move on. That doesn't look too bad. Jumping from the bed, you hastily pull on some clothes. With a few long strides, you cross the room to stand before a glass case sitting on a shelf. Yeah, this is where he picks up his ankh that he received previously. Visible beneath the glass, resting upon a velvet cloth, is the ankh, symbol of your avatarhood. Reverently, you open the case and remove it. Reverently, I can't pronounce it. If what you think is happening is truly happening, then you may need of this. Of course, you may need of it. It's the whole entire symbol of who you are, or have become. All the evil essentially has been stripped away from you, and that represents the ankh represents all the mastery of the primary virtues, not the principles, the virtues, from where the principles come from as well. So you could say it indirectly is associated to the principles, but no. You open the door of your bedroom and step out hesitating. One hand on the door, and you look back wondering if you will ever return. Shaking your head of these thoughts, you pull the door closed and leave the house. Oh god, that looks terrible again. That looks better for now. With the aid of an occasional moonbeam piercing the dark cloud cover, you head for the circle of stones near the willow tree in the nearby woods. So he must have set up house, or maybe his house was always near these circle of stones. From what I understand, that every time he entered into Britannia, he entered into Britannia from the same place on Earth each time, so he might have just built a house there. We don't know that much per se. But we do know that he's not anywhere near a city, even though he's got electricity and plumbing and God knows what else. And through the treetops as thoughts of the past race through your mind. Strange shadows cast by the moonlight filtering down through the treetops, blah 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 blah, just ahead of the stone circles. Often you come here and sat for hours at a time, hoping once again to see the shimmering blue door. Well, it's actually supposed to be red, but yeah, the color changes as the story progresses. The shimmering blue door that would allow you to return to Britannia, the new name for the lands of Lord British. To those whose friendship had become to mean so much. Yeah, mainly talking about Iolo, Dupre and Cheminot. But you do have the others like Julia and Jana and Jeffrey. Dupre. Dupre is one of the three. Iolo, Dupre and Cheminot. There are others. Less frequently. You came until finally, sadly, you gave up altogether. Oh. With renewed hope, you stand before the circles of stones, the ankh in one hand and the amulet in the other. Minutes slip by and nothing happens. Impatiently turns to anxiety. The gate must open. The mystical arrival of the amulet would mean nothing else. Long do you stand there until the amulet slips from your grip and falls within the circle of stones. While you stare dejectedly at the amulet lying within the circle, you notice blue shimmering in the air above the amulet. Looking down at the ankh in your hand, you see it is also enveloped in a soft blue glow. Carefully you place the glowing unk inside the amulet. Ooh. Of course, this is again different to the later games. In Ultima 6, I think a lot of these things change again. But it could be because of what results from this episode. Instantly, a shimmering blue door springs up. With heart beating rapidly, you step into it. The Arrival, Chapter 2, The Arrival. Your senses are jerked from their momentary disorientation by a blinding streak of lightning that strikes with a thunderous crash not more than 500 feet from where you are. Right. I added words in that weren't there. Okay. Also, you got to remember that every time you do a gate travel, which is at the beginning of each and every episode of, each and every game, your stats get reset back to 0 due to the stresses of the space-time distortion inflicts your body. You are standing in a clearing surrounded by a dark and forbidding forest. Overhead, rolling black clouds fill the sky while thunder and lightning continue to crash around you. Britannia. Let me just fix that screen up for you again. Come on. Britannia. It must be Britannia. That something is wrong, instead of the sense of elation expected upon returning here after all these years. You are overcome with a foreboding sense of wrongness. Wrongness. My friend, shouts someone from behind you. A familiar voice from the past causes you to whirl around, racing towards you is Shamino. In his usual green little outfit there. Green and yellow outfit. The outfit of a ranger. Shamino is someone that you thought you might never see again. Strongly grasping your hand, he exclaims, "We are afraid the summoning would fail. 'Tis nigh impossible to use any magic without invoking intervention from Blackthorn." The evil dude from this game, basically. Let us not tarry, for the summoning has surely not been gone unnoticed. Trusting your friend's judgment, you hold your many questions until a safer time. Hastily, you retrieve the amulet and unk that lie at your feet, but before you can remove, the very darkness about you begins to swirl and change. 3 shapes begin to materialize in the murky gloom. "Shadow Lords," hisses Shamino. How can you hiss while speaking? 3 clenched teeth. "Shadow Lords." Quickly, he draws his sword, and moves between you and the barely discernible shapes. I'm so used to Shamino having a bow, which is more to do with Ultima 7 and onwards, I think, or 6 onwards. The foremost apparition traces a pattern in the air with a wispy forefinger. An ebony black arrow solidifies before it and hangs suspended for a moment. Then, with a flick of its hand, the Shadow Lord casts the glowing bolt at Shamino. "Oh Oh no, it was magic arrow. Magic missile. I want to cast magic missile. Oh, what? The darkness? Yeah! Anyway, the arrow strikes him full in the chest. Well, it looks like it's about to hit his sword to me, but dropping his sword, he sinks to the ground, lines of pain and something worse etched into his face. The dark forms close in around you. At your feet, Shamino's body convulses in pain. But not a sound escapes his lips. Oh, well, sorry. Without warning, the amulet, tightly gripped in your hands, emits a bright blue glow. Upon seeing the amulet, the Shadow Lords shrink back. The wispy shadows start to swirl and fade back into the inky darkness from whence they came. Shamino lies upon the ground, body twisted in agony. The dark arrow protruding from his chest. A normal arrow would not cause such pain. It must be the evil enchantment with which it was created. Realizing it must be removed, you jerk the arrow from Shamino's body and hurl it with all your might. The air about the arrow crackles as it flies into the darkness. Shamino's body relaxes. Inspecting the bloody wound, you notice it has already begun to fester from the foulness with which the bolt was conjured. We will find aid at Iolo's. It is but a short walk to the east, Shamino mutters. With grim determination, you help Shamino to his feet, half carry him out of the clearing and eastward through the forest. So it must have been near you that he got summoned. Long story short, Yellow's primary residence is at U, if you don't know. Within a short time, the soothing sounds of a lute being masterfully played can be heard through the forest ahead. Rounding the bend in the path, you see a dim light emanating from a small hut nestled amongst the trees. Approaching the hut, you loosen an arm from around Shamino and knock on the heavy wooden door. The lute playing stops abruptly to be replaced by the muffled clinking of metal. Who goes there? Demands a familiar voice from within. Leaning warily against you, Shamino mutters, "Open the door, you son of a goat, before I donate all my blood to decorate thy doorstep." The door jerks open to reveal the familiar form of Yolo standing framed within the doorway. Reaching out to Shamino, Yolo turns to you with a grimace. "My friend, thou art a sight for sore eyes. I see that Shamino, as usual, has been unable to stay out of trouble." His casual remarks cannot mask his deep concern as he helps Shamino to a bed and carefully tends to his wounds. Yeah, you gotta wonder if Shamino and Yellow aren't best buds or something. Bum buddies, perhaps. They always seem to have quick jabs at each other, but then again, those three, Yellow, Shamino, and Dupre tends to have jabs at each other, which is what best friends do, apparently. After seeing to Shamino, Yellow fills 2 mugs with a foaming broth and beckons you to a coarse wooden table next to the warm hearth. "'Tis good to see you after these many long years, my friend. It seems thy summoning does not go unnoticed. From the looks of Shamino's wound, I'd say thou dost know of the Shadow Lords." Yeah, we only just encountered them. It's not like when the call was placed, you could pick up and say, "Hello, what's happening?" "Oh, Lord Blackthorn and his Shadow Lords are ruining the great lands of Britannia." "Oh, I'll be right there." It's one of those, "Come help me." What's going on? Anyway, you recount to Yala the events of your arrival. Your patience not giving out, a flood of questions erupts from you. Slowly, my friend, Yala smiles. Make thyself at ease, and I will tell thee of the bitter events that have brought us to these dark times. Ah, dear. Not long after thy departure, Lord British and the most prominent wizards of Britannia gathered at his castle and called a meeting of the Great Council. Probably heard of the Great Council before. I think they were mentioned in Ultima 1, maybe Ultima 2 as well. Among the acts of the council was the sealing of the dungeons that lie beneath Britannia in hopes of entombing the foul denizens that dwell within. Some creatures still manage to escape, but their eyes are unaccustomed to the light. They rarely roam the countryside by day, but wary must be the traveller by night. Another act of the Grey Council, and by far the work most difficult, was to raise the Codex from the depths of the abyss. The influx of the combined magical power of the Great Council disrupted the very bowels of Britannia. Where once was the abyss, now stands an immeasurable mountain, created from the molten lava that spewed forth. Unbeknownst to the council, our new and glorious mountain left an enormous void over which all of Britannia rests. Some speculate that the dungeons may reach into this underground void at the deepest levels. Pretty much. I mean, we all know that, or should know by now, that Dungeon Hithlos was on the same isle as the Great Stygian Abyss. And at the bottom of the Hithloth was the, more or less, the three altars for truth, love, and courage shrines, basically. And each of those shrines had 4 entrances. The south entrances of each shrine were to Dungeon Hithloth. So there was 3 other entrances. If I go back to the notice, you'll notice that the stones are listed underneath truth, love, and courage separately. If you cross-reference those stone colours to the appropriate dungeon, you can figure out which dungeons may lead where. Some speculate that the dungeons may reach into. It is believed that the underworld has become a vast breeding ground for creatures who have grown into horrors far worse than their original forms. Yeah, more or less, but you'll come to hear more about that, more or less. A band of adventurers chance upon a tunnel beneath the river that flows through Spiritwood, where one of these caverns collapsed, opening a passage to the underworld. They returned weary and bewildered, with tales of creatures that mount the dark air, and others that shake the ground. Lord British was intrigued by these tales and gathered an entourage of steward fighters to accompany him into the underworld, but his party was overwhelmed by the tremendous number and power of these creatures. Though they fought valiantly, panic erupted throughout Britannia. When the sole survivor of the expedition returned with a small parchment from which was recorded the dread tale of their journey. Yarlow pauses momentarily as he reflects upon these dark thoughts. Yeah, it'd almost be worthwhile playing Ultima Underworld 1. Blackthorn, a trusted but ambitious subject, took over the ruling of Britannia to calm the ensuing chaos, and this we accepted till the Shadow Lords appeared. They corrupted Blackthorn in some manner unbeknownst to us. And Blackthorn's reign is now one of oppression and tyranny. Through him, the meaning of their virtues have been corrupted to serve the self-righteousness. Shamino, myself, and others that has known have been declared outlaws by Blackthorn's regime must skulk about as common criminals. We keep distance between ourselves so that we canst not be rounded up in one fell swoop. But this cannot go on forever. Blackthorn and his hellish Shadow Lords are bleeding Britannia. Rule must be restored to Lord British if he still lives. And now we get to the crux of this mission. The gravity of the matter compelled us to risk a meeting. We arrived at the only possible answer. Attempt to summon thee, my friend, to aid us in your quest to discover the fate of Lord British. The risk was great, and for no use of strong magical power goes unnoticed by the Shadow Lords, but we felt there was no other choice. Shaking off the gloom of his tail, a jovial glint returns into Yala's eyes. He nods in Shamino's direction and says, "But since thou art here, my friend, and hath naught else to do, I'm sure, what say thee we nursemaid this poor excuse of an adventurer back to some semblance of health, then embark upon our quest. If life still breathes within Lord British, we shall restore him as the rightful ruler of Britannia." So basically, Lord British disappeared. Okay. And this is more or less where I'm going to take a break. And I'm going to think about what to do next. We'll have to journey onwards at some point. Whoops, that messed up. So I'll get back into it after we take a break.